I'm Katherine. I'm a kids book person at Laurel Village, and I have some recommendations today for you. First up is for toddler and infant. This is called Peekaboo by Janet and Alan Alberg. It's a team. I love it. It's an oldie but a goodie. I had it when I was a kid, and I love it because, first off, there's very sweet, soft illustrations with some great use of color. And I love it because it's from the baby's perspective. It's all about what he can see from his world. So it says Peekaboo, and it shows just what he can see from his crib. And it follows him throughout the day about what he can see from different vantage points. And, you know, it's an often overlooked subject in board books about what the baby can see and what's relevant to them. So I love this one. It makes a great gift, and it's very overlooked. People don't know a lot about it. My favorite picture book, and I say picture book, but it can also be pretty inspirational for 7, 8, even non-up. It's called My Name is Not Isabella. And it's a wonderful, wonderful book about how big a little girl can dream. So it starts with her mother waking her up and saying, "Good morning, Isabella." And she says, "Oh, my name's not Isabella. It's Sally, the greatest, toughest astronaut who ever was." And so she's Sally Ride. And she just kind of goes throughout her day being these strong, strong female characters, from Annie Oakley and Rosa Parks, right on down to Elizabeth Blackwell, the first female doctor. And what's super cool, besides the message in the book, is that at the end, the little girl gets totally inspired. There are little synopsises about each of the famous women she's pretending to be throughout her day, so that if they get inspired, they can read a little bit more about that. And I think this is such an important book for girls, to tell them that they can do anything that they want to do, and there's no profession that is forbidden for them. And it makes a great graduation gift or even birthday. So, now aimed more for the 6 to 8 crowd, particularly boys I'm talking about, although girls are into it too. This is a great new series that they're just coming out with. They've taken the Knights of the Round Table from Arthurian legend and given them their own little adventure books. Each knight has their own adventure. So this one, Sir Gibbet the Short, and it's done in a very easily accessible way with the large print and the plentiful illustrations. And it's great. It's really great for especially those reluctant boys that just are like, "Oh, what do I read?" These are great choices because there's a lot of action to keep them interested, and it's still very accessible for them. So I really recommend this series. I'm very excited they did this one. So, my little passion is graphic novels, and I think it's a very overlooked genre in general, because parents are like, there's a lot of pictures, but there's still a lot going on in these graphic novels. And if it inspires kids to read, it can't be all bad, right? So this is Cheese Sweet Home. It's actually one of the most popular titles in Japan right now. It's great for boys or girls. It's actually aimed for boys, but the girls love the kitten on the front cover. It's the story of a little kitten who's a stray, and he gets adopted by a little boy and his family, but they can't have pets. So Chi, the kitten, becomes kind of their secret. And as they adjust to life with a pet, he has to adjust to life as a pet, because he's used to kind of coming and going as he pleases. It's full of lots of funny things like, what is a couch for? Scratching it? No. Maybe peeing on it? No. So it's just kind of funny, and it's got that silly humor that is really going to appeal to a boy or a girl too. Moving on to middle grade, this is my new passion for middle grade. This is The Humming Room by Ellen Potter, who is a fantastic author in and of herself, so check out all her work. But this is actually a modern retelling of The Secret Garden. It's done beautifully, it's written incredibly well, and I think it was a really tough job for her because she took a story that everybody knows and is familiar with, whether or not they've read it, and really made her own spin on it. And, you know, it's still recognizable as The Secret Garden, but it's definitely a more modern take of what a child perhaps might be going through today rather than over 100 years ago. It's absolutely fantastic. I'd gear it more for 10 to 12, just based on the subject matter, but really anybody who loves The Secret Garden will love this one. So moving on to teen, I have 2 passions right now. This is 172 Hours on the Moon. It's an awesome, awesome, awesome read. It's sci-fi, but less with technology and robots, and more with astronauts in space, and with a little bit of horror thrown in. So if you have a child who scares easily, not for them. Definitely a hard 14, 15, 16, right in that age range. It's set in the distant future, but it's not dystopian, bucking the trend. So it's actually NASA's running out of money, and they decide to infuse some life into it by incorporating teenagers into the space program. So they pick out, through a lottery, they pick 3 very lucky teenagers who get to go up to the moon with these astronauts. But there's a very dark secret awaiting them on the moon, and just exactly why we haven't been back to the moon in 30 years. It's fantastic. It came out in Norway first, so it's actually not an American book, which is great because none of the teenagers in the book are American, so it's a great perspective for kids to get different countries in there and see what teens are like in other countries. Really recommend this one. Maybe read it with the lights on, though. This is my other passion. This is Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler, aka Lemony Snicket. And it's illustrated by Myra Coleman, who is wonderful, wonderful. This is a great book about beginnings and endings, really, about starting over and kind of identity, finding out who you really are. It's a great book for a summer read, especially if a child is about to be going through some kind of a, 8th grade to 9th grade transition. Great transition book. It takes place in modern times, so it's a modern book. And what it has is a girl has just broken up with the first great love of her life, and she delivers a box on his doorstep. And inside the box, she has placed items that remind her of him and their relationship. And the book, each chapter starts with an illustration of an object, and the resulting chapter is her explanation of what those objects meant to them in their relationship and what it has to do with them breaking up. And it's a wonderful, just a wonderful story about growing pains and how to overcome them, and about that great love, because let's face it, you never forget that first love that you have. Because when you're 15, 16, it's all about the love. And this is such a wonderfully illustrated book. I actually bought my own copy and had it signed because I loved it so much and believed in it so much. So I highly recommend picking this up. So thanks for taking the time to listen to my rambling today. I hope some of these books have inspired you, and come on and see me. I'll be here to help.